Okay, I have moved on from Sunset Crater Volcano National Monument to Wupatki. This is the first one I'm going to stop at, which is called the Wukoki Pueblo. As you can see behind me and from the picture right here, let's take a look. It is built on this sandstone outcropping. You can kind of see it out here in the distance. Zoom in a little bit. So it's kind of high above the plain. About 3 stories total. Very interesting. Good visibility to watch out for enemies, be protected from flooding, and just maybe a sense of security up there. Let's go take a look at it a little closer. Pretty amazing to look at these walls that were from hundreds of years ago, and they're still straight and they're still standing. That is amazing to me. Some of the stuff is missing. It's no longer here. But a lot of it still is, which is pretty amazing. Some of the doorways and things like that seem small by modern standards. But I think it's pretty amazing that you can walk up in here and see how these things have really not changed in the grand scheme of things over almost 1,000 years. Just remember when you're up here on these sites, don't climb on the walls, don't lean against the walls. If you find any artifacts, just leave them where you find them to protect for future generations. A very interesting, unique place. One thing I did notice at the base, and it was hard to see because of the shadows, this panel talks about the ripple marks. The sandstone was here millions of years before the native people decided to build pueblos. If you look at this panel, you can see, just like on the beach to the left side, ripple marks in the sand. Over time, as that sand gets petrified into sandstone, you have ripple marks that form as well. You can see a few of them in this rock right here. If you look closely, there's ripple marks there. Some of that was used as building blocks to build the pueblo here. Pretty interesting. So this is the first of many sites here at Wupatki that we'll see today. Keep following so you can see more of these sites. For the next part of our journey, we're going to go to the pueblo. It's located right behind the visitor center. And it features 104 rooms, I believe. There's also a ball court and a blowhole. So you might be asking yourself, what is a blowhole? And I'm not really sure myself. Well, let's look at the sign here. Just as before, with all archaeological sites, don't climb on the walls and the structures. Leave artifacts as they are. And they don't allow pets on the trail. So keep that in mind. It's only a few minutes up the trail, but to walk the entire site, which is a 0.57 mile round trip, takes about 30 to 45 minutes. So I think that's worth it to see all these things. There is no shade, not an issue today. It's not really a high temperature. It's like perfect temperature for hiking today. But definitely want to keep that in mind, having good sun protection and drinking water to take with you. Let's go take it up. So this is the pueblo. Here, there's 3 panels in front of me that talk about the story of the site. The height of the period was between 1100 and 1200. You had more people living here than you had ever before. They built this huge pueblo here that basically was, along a trade route. It was linking all the different communities, to the north, to the south, to the west, to the east, and basically became a huge trading center. And you can see at one point, looking on the middle panel here, hopefully you can see how tall and big it was. So 900 years ago, they don't really know, but oral history of the Hopi and the Zuni both say that this was a place where diverse origins of people came together. And it was kind of a mixture of the Chacoan architecture and the Kayenta style. And the ball court, with the shell jewelry that was inside of it, indicates ties to the south, like Sea of Cortez area along Baja California. So pretty crazy to think about how far-reaching the culture was. Looking here, they, kind of like a modern apartment complex, they shared their ways and lifestyle with each other. Further down here is the ball court, and there's a blowhole over there. So we'll see. It was suggested that it was a very important meeting place with no equal. Most of your people that lived in the area lived in smaller dwellings that were spread out for miles around. This was more of a central kind of, maybe like, I think of it kind of like a county seat or capital area where they had places that everybody came together and did regional business and trade. So I'm now down here on the other side of the pueblo and headed towards the ball court and the blowhole. Let's go check it out. A blowhole is basically where the earth can breathe. You have cracks or stress fractures, faults throughout the earth. Groundwater has gone through these cracks in the earth and over time has eroded and made these fissures and pathways that air can travel. They're spiritually significant to many indigenous people. The Hopi called it Wind's Home. Zuni called it Mother Earth's Breath. Navajo is Wind Home. Southern Paiute call it the House of Wind. Air flows into the blowhole when the surface air is cooler than underground air. Then it flows out whenever the surface air is warmer. So summertime, probably the air is flowing out more, whereas right now it's flowing in. Let's take a look at the blowhole and see what it can do. I've got a piece of paper in my pocket. We're going to put it by the hole so I can show you that it actually is blowing in. Look at that. We're going to put it by the hole to show you that it's actually breathing in. Look at this. Yep, see, it's like sucking in. There's a grate over it so I can let it go. You can see how that worked. That's crazy. Let's look at the ball court. So looking at the ball court, you can see that it has masonry walls. Pretty much a dirt floor. They didn't really know of its existence so much in 1956, but it was excavated by archaeologists from the Museum of Northern Arizona. The so-named A.J. Lindsay and G.J., that's kind of hard to say, Gummerman of Museum of Northern Arizona started excavating it in May of 1965. And the interior, as you can see, is a stone-lined structure. May have been a temporary shelter, but you can see because of the distance we are from the actual pueblo, which is up there on top of the hill where you can see the scaffolding. It was kind of a public area, not really something that was associated with the pueblo directly, more of an indirect association. The game was a modified ball game of some sort. They don't know exactly what it was, but it was passed north from the Mayan regions to Hohokam in southern Arizona, and they played it here. Pretty interesting. The Hopi have identified it as a Snake Clan dance plaza and a cistern because it holds water for a short period of time after a heavy rain. They also did games here, but also as a trade area where you could trade your different goods, which could have been pottery, cotton, macaws, shell, turquoise, copper, whatever you had. This was a good kind of a regional plaza area where you could not only have competitive games, but also trade your goods. Kind of like an ancient flea market of sorts. So down there where people are standing, that was known as the community room. Not a kiva like you see at some of the Chacoan sites. It was never fully enclosed. It never took that permanent structure like the kivas did other places. But it's pretty amazing to walk past this stuff and check it out. Here's a view from the top. I just came up these stairs right here. Getting kind of late in the day, so I want to move on to the other sites so I don't miss those before it gets dark. Way cool. And of course, one of the things they do during the growing season is the Three Sisters method, which is corn, beans, and squash, using some modified dryland agriculture to grow these plants here. Right now it's not growing because it's late November, but that's some way they would grow their crops. This is kind of a little demonstration garden for that. Of course, the gardens used to be spring fed. Now they use rainfall collection. They have a barrel here and a barrel over there to help water the garden. Okay, we're getting toward the end of our journey today. There's two pueblos here. There's one that's accessible. It's hard to see because of the sunshine. But right here you have Nalakihu. Maybe saying that wrong. And above that you have Citadel. So a very short trail, but two different pueblos. One down here in the lower part of the plain and the other one on top of the hill there. Let's take a look at these. So this close-up one, known as Nalakihu, is a Hopi word for lone house, or house outside the village. The structure was given its modern name because of its relation to the mesa-top village known as the Citadel. This particular spot's about 800 years old, and it's not a very big complex. Looks like maybe about 10 rooms or so. A lot of guesswork was done when they were excavating and recording this in 1933. Unfortunately, that destroyed a lot of the details. But you still have a pretty good amount of the rock walls here. Again, don't sit on them, don't lean on them. Try to stay away from them if you can, but you got to admire the construction. 800 years ago, and they're still upright and standing straight. Let's go on to the Citadel. So up top here, you can definitely see the Citadel's walls. A different type of structure as it was poised on the top here. I was reading on the previous sign the idea of having a poised structure on top of that hill, and you have these kind of rolling plains around you, is you have opportunities for farming. And there's evidence left here in the form of rock terrace walls. I don't see any examples of those right here at the moment, but that's what they did for their farming. So even though in modern times we call these ruins, the Hopi, the Zuni, they have roots in these places. This is kind of where they have ancestral ties. And there's evidence that there was human habitation 13,000 years ago in this area. The ties of human history go way far back. So looking at the side of the Citadel right here, it was built in the mid-1100s, Common Era, and it may have had about 30 rooms. That's what they guesstimate it had. And there is black basalt in the walls, which is interesting because it's harder to build with because it was not as uniform as some of the other stone that they used, but it kind of makes a different impression of the walls. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe they wanted to stand out based on other communities that were around. So here we are on top of the Citadel. This is what's left of it over years and years. Definitely a lasting legacy on the land. There's a huge hole back here, I think is known as the Citadel sink. So supposedly the sink, which we saw up there on the top, was formed similar to the blowhole, the series of fissures and fractures and faults throughout the rock. And then over time it just collapsed. I'm wondering what made this Citadel, which is a good name for it, so stable and able to stay up there, even today. Let me know your answers in the comments below. So for our last visit today, we're going to this. Well, that pretty much finishes it up. Wupatki National Monument. A lot of interesting Pueblo sites. Definitely can be combined and done in one day to see that and Sunset Crater. Pretty neat sites that hold human history from hundreds of years ago. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel for more great content. If you have any questions or comments, please drop those below. If you're on the podcast, just click that link and drop us a message and let us know what you're up to. Until next time, we'll see you out there on the trail. Okay, bye-bye.